how do we actually make sense of these really dramatic, unexpected events, especially when you hear observations coming out that are just, well, startling.
It's a really fundamental question, isn't it? And it's exactly what we're going to try and unpack today.
Right. So today, we're doing a deep dive into some sources that present a very specific and honestly quite startling set of claims about recent wildfires.
Yeah, our goal here is really to unpack the observations and the interpretations from one particular speaker. We're going to draw directly from what he shared, look at the pieces of information he's highlighting,
Okay.
and the conclusions he comes to based on that. It's about laying out his perspective, as presented in the source material.
So you, listening, can see how this specific narrative gets put together.
Exactly.
And understanding these kinds of viewpoints, even the really challenging ones, it's super valuable, I think. It helps you navigate all the complex information out there.
Definitely. Considering different perspectives is key.
Okay, so where do we start? Let's get into it. We're kicking off with a really specific, pretty dramatic observation. It comes via Richie from Boston, who's sharing what someone named Mike Morales apparently found.
Right. So the source, Richie, talks about Mike Morales supposedly caught using NASA's own satellite high-in-the-sky imagery. He specifies it's from GOES-16.
GOES-16, that's one of those weather satellites, right? High up.
Yeah, geostationary operational environmental satellite. They're constantly watching for weather, environmental stuff. And what Morales apparently saw was a directed energy weapon or something hitting the ground.
Wow, okay. A DOW, right before a big fire started.
That's the claim, right before the fire.
And they described what it looked like.
Uh-huh. It's described as a little white puff, or maybe an explosion that kind of goes up and falls back down.
Like a quick flash almost.
Yeah.
But not smoke.
Well, that's the key point they make. The smoke from this is supposedly really different, more like gunpowder or cordite.
Okay.
And the crucial detail, according to the source, is that it doesn't remain, it just vanishes.
So this isn't just about how the fire started. It's suggesting a very specific, almost sci-fi origin.
Precisely. It points towards this idea of hidden advanced technology being the cause, rather than, say, natural causes or simple arson, a specific intentional act.
Okay, so that's the origin claim. But what about how the fires themselves behaved? Because the source found that just as unusual, maybe even more so.
Yes, exactly. The focus shifts to the behavior of the fire. They talk about video footage showing, well, houses that are burned and the houses on either side are fine.
Right, and the speaker is emphatic, saying that's not how fire works.
He really contrasts it. He says, fire is random and uncontrollable, but then looking at the footage, that is not what we're seeing.
So it's a direct challenge to that idea of wildfire being this chaotic force.
Yeah.
It implies some kind of targeting, precision.
That's definitely the implication. And the language used to describe the aftermath, it really ramps up the intensity.
What kind of terms are we talking about?
Things like war zone imagery, never-ending nonstop fires, and really evocative phrases like living hell, walking into hell, and specifically about one location, paradise is lost.
Wow. War zone imagery. That definitely paints a picture far beyond just a natural disaster. It suggests something else entirely is going on.
It really sets a specific, very dark tone.
Okay, so these observations about the fires, they don't stay isolated, do they? The source connects them to a much bigger picture, sort of a conspiratorial framework.
That's right. They bring in this concept attributed to someone called Amethyst Skies, named Operation Torch California, the firestorm terror operation.
Operation Torch California. And the purpose.
It's presented as a false flag event, specifically timed for 111 to distract from the theft of the election.
Ah, okay. Election theft. But the speaker has his own thoughts on that part, right?
He does, yeah. It's interesting. He actually says he doesn't think they need to go that far to steal the elections because they've been doing it for a long, long, long time.
Really? He mentions examples.
He specifically cites Bush and Gore. So for him, while the idea of a distraction fits, his view is that election manipulation is already like standard practice.
I see. So the fire is part of something bigger, but maybe not just about that specific election distraction frame.
Well, he then connects the burning of California to these larger global agendas, specifically Agenda 21, Agenda 2030.
Okay, those are the UN Sustainable Development things that often pop up in these kinds of narratives.
Exactly. The source describes it as the same old thing, basically a plan to get people out of here, meaning out of certain areas, depopulation or relocation agendas.
And there was also a detail about PG&E, the utility company, something about a warning.
Yes, quite specific. The claim is that PG&E sent out an email and made a phone call warning them that this may be coming, referring to potential fire danger or power shutdowns, maybe.
There's a catch.
The catch, according to the source, is that the warning had the wrong date. And this is interpreted as a way to provide plausible deniability, like, we warned them, but oh well, wrong day.
Hmm, okay. So specific fire events linked to election narratives, linked to global agendas, with details like the PG&E warning fitting into that.
It builds a layered picture, and then it expands even further.
How so?
It connects these Californian events to broader environmental or climate observations happening elsewhere.
Like what?
Like temperatures on the East Coast that we've never seen before. And at the same time, California is on fire while the coast is completely grayed out and raining every single solitary day.
So extreme, seemingly contradictory weather patterns happening simultaneously.
Exactly. And these aren't seen as just random climate fluctuations. They're woven into the main narrative.
Leading to what ultimate conclusion? Because it sounds like it's building towards something big.
It is. For the source speaker, all of this, the fires, the alleged DOWs, the agendas, the weird weather, it's all seen as the beginning. It's their push, the start.
The start of what?
Ultimately, the war against humanity.
Wow.
Okay.
That's an incredibly high-stakes interpretation of events.
Absolutely. And to reinforce that, the source shares a perspective from someone named Mike Decker.
Okay, and what's Decker's take, according to the source?
Decker apparently frames it in starkly moral, almost religious terms, saying that those that see what's happening and choose to ignore it are working in league with Satan.
Seriously, okay.
Whereas those that are spreading the truth and trying to warn others and wake others up, those are the people that are working for God.
So it creates this absolute binary. You either see the truth and are fighting for good, or you're ignoring it and actively siding with evil.
Pretty much. It adds this intense, almost apocalyptic moral dimension to interpreting these events.
Okay, let's just pause and quickly recap the core claims we've pulled out from this source material then.
Sure. So we started with those really specific observations about fire origins, the alleged satellite evidence of directed energy,
Right, the white puff.
then the strange fire behavior houses destroyed while neighbors are fine, leading to that war zone description.
Which challenges the idea of random fire spread.
Exactly. Then it broadened out into these, well, far-reaching conspiratorial frameworks, connecting the fires to election theft distractions.
To Agenda 201-2030 global plans.
And finally, interpreting all these anomalies, including climate ones, as the beginning of a war against humanity, framed in almost spiritual terms.
It's quite a journey from a satellite image anomaly to a war against humanity. And for you listening, it's just a powerful example of how people can take observations, maybe even shared observations, and interpret them through a very specific lens.
Leading to vastly different conclusions about what's actually happening in the world. It really shows that layer of interpretation that gets added.
Yeah.
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. The source insists fire isn't a targeted weapon, implying natural fire isn't, but then describes scenes that sound, in their words, like a war zone. So what does it mean when our description of an event seems to clash with our basic understanding of the phenomenon itself, like fire? How much do our expectations shape what we see, or how we choose to describe it?
That's a really interesting question to ponder. How our framework influences the very language we use.